So we all know that immigration has witnessed a phenomenal growth in the state of Georgia. We started from a 2.7% of foreign-born immigrants in the state in 1990 to a high percentage of 9.4% in 2008. Okay, to bring it into the national context, nationally we have a 12.5. So it is still somewhat below what's the number for the national as a whole, but if you think about the growth over time, it's quite phenomenal. Basically, we rank second out of 51 states for the growth of immigrants population between 2000 and 2008, and that is over 50%. Okay, so some people term state of Georgia and term Atlanta metropolitan area as the emerging gateway as compared to the traditional gateways of New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, which are initial destinations for immigrants who enter the country. Okay, so that is something we should bear in mind. Secondly, we know that immigrants to Georgia actually start from 1990, essentially. Okay, so there hasn't been that much immigrants before. So basically, if we think about immigrant arrivals, then the 1990s arrival, meaning people who enter between 1990 and 1999, make up 32% of all immigrants in the state. And those people who enter after year 2000 make up close to 40% of all immigrants. So that is to say, about 70 to 80% of all foreign-born in the state are what people term as relatively new immigrants. Okay, so that is a phenomenon that's kind of distinguish Georgia from other states and distinguish Atlanta from other metropolitan area as well. Okay. In terms of the racial ethnic mix of our foreign-born population, about 43.7% of them, so close to half of them report them of Hispanic or Latino origin. Okay, that's about half of the foreign-born population, and then about 25% report themselves as Asians. Okay, so people from Latin America and from Asian countries make up over 3/4 of the foreign-born population here in the state. Of all the immigrants who are in Georgia, 77 or about 3/4 of them actually live in Atlanta. Okay, and of everyone who's living in Atlanta, all the immigrants living in Atlanta, about 3/4 or 78% of them live in only 4 counties. So it's probably not hard for people to guess which 4, right? Gwinnett County, Cobb County, Fulton County, DeKalb County. Okay, so these counties, they have 78% of all immigrants. And take Gwinnett County as an example, about 1/4 of its residents are immigrants. Okay, so whatever policy we have, its impact is not going to be evenly borne across space. Okay, certain communities, certain neighborhoods, if we go further down, and certain counties are going to have higher impact than others. Second point is that immigration is all about jobs, okay? So in economic downturn, it's jobs, jobs, jobs. So the discussion of immigration is going to be more heated for a time like this. And we know that for immigrants, they are not scattered across all different skill spectrum. They are not scattered evenly across all the occupations and industries. Immigrants are concentrated in certain industries and in certain occupations. Sometimes people call these immigrant niches, okay? So why they're concentrated in those niches, it could be in a range of reasons, okay? It could be that these are particular things that their skill sets are suited for. It could be a network hiring process, or it could be that these are the jobs that has low barriers to entry, okay? So in my own research, I did a analysis of the kind of the occupations that low-skilled Latino immigrants are concentrated in, and I traced the change from 1990 to 2000 to 2008. And it seems that Latino immigrants becoming increasingly concentrated in a very small number of niches. So essentially 10 occupations I found out, the 10 occupations, they take about 60% of the low-skilled Latino immigrants, only concentrated in 10 occupations, okay? And it's probably not hard to guess that the first one is construction workers, okay? Construction workers I believe someone else is going to talk about agriculture because I just look at Atlanta MSA, so I didn't take into agriculture into account. But construction laborers, about 20% of low-skilled Latino immigrants in construction. If you look at it in another way, 80% of construction workers are low-skilled Latino immigrants. Okay, so we can see that down the list, construction laborers, gardeners, carpenters, janitors, painters. So these types of occupations concentrate 60% of the Latino workforce in the Atlanta and metropolitan area. Okay, so you can see that whatever impact we're going to talk about, those would be the industries that would be hardly hit. The third point I'm going to make is that there are definitely other benefits or other impacts of immigrants that we should not ignore, okay? So a lot of the research, a lot of the debate has been on undocumented workers, has been on the low-skilled jobs and job competition, but we shouldn't forget that immigrants set up their own businesses and they actually hire workers and contribute to the economy as well, okay? So there has been a surging research on kind of the minority-owned businesses. And I'll give you some basic statistics for the state of Georgia. So in Georgia, there are 26,925 Asian-owned businesses. Okay, they had a sales and receipts of $8 billion, and they employ 54,556 people, and that's from the survey of business owners in 2002. Okay, you can see it from the statistics that they are not especially big businesses, right? It seems on average it's one business with 2 workers. So those down here, if you have more than 2 workers, then you're already above the average for minority-owned businesses. And for Hispanic-owned businesses in the state, we have 18,310 Latino-owned businesses. They have a sales receipt of $4.2 billion. That's also 2002, and they employ 20,412 people. Okay, so on average for the Latino-owned businesses, it's about 1.1 persons per firm. So you can see that a lot of these are just one person shops, okay? And it turned out to be that through the statistics that I run, using the same data set, it seems that for the Asian-owned businesses, a lot of them are in retail, so the grocery stores, so on and so forth, and certain types of businesses. And then for the Latino-owned firms, a lot of them are in construction. I think over 40% of them are in construction. Okay, so even though they're not super big firms, we can see that they contribute to the economy by paying themselves, right, and also hiring other workers as well. Okay, so that's and also what's interesting is the location of these jobs. Usually across the country, we see examples from the Sunset Park in New York, which was a kind of a distressed, rundown neighborhood, but now it's very vibrant with a lot of Asian businesses. We know the Pico Union in Los Angeles, which was kind of an inner town, kind of a distressed neighborhood, now with a vibrant Hispanic business scene. And now in Atlanta, we have our own Buford Highway and the other kind of business parks in more suburban locations. So we know that it's not just about jobs, it's also about community development. It's about revitalizing the neighborhoods, bring the tax dollars, bring sometimes the suburban residents, the middle class into those locations, into those communities, and really improve the quality of life and improve kind of the social, cultural diversity in those communities. So these are kind of the less tangible effect or benefits of immigrants that we should be looking at as well. These are basically the 3 points that I want to make. I think that we need to keep into consideration that future perspective, as well as to take into consideration that the impact of immigrants would not be evenly borne across space and would not be evenly borne across the different sectors of the economy. Thank you.